unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
All right, it's Friday, April 24th. Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
And, yeah. Hooray. Quarantine day 976.
Yes. The end of another week. Did you have your... everyone was allotted one complete mental breakdown this week. Did you guys cash that in? I know I cashed my coupon in.
I spent mine last week. This week I just sat back and enjoyed the insanity of watching everybody else flip the fuck out.
Yeah, I hope that I'm like over that hump now, that I can just coast the rest of this out.
I think, I honestly, because, you know, going to work, working with younger people, I think, one, the length of this shit is starting to get to everybody, regardless of age, whatever, what your working situation, whether you're at home or not. Because really, honestly, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, even if you're considered an essential worker, you're just driving to work and then turn around and driving home.
Yeah.
Right.
We're all Phil Connors in one way or another for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, but real quick, you know what made me actually kind of tip over the edge this week was, it was actually yesterday, listening to Adam Carolla's podcast. Chris, did you listen to it?
Yes.
Okay, so he had the doctor on from New York that was doing the testing with the zinc and the hydrochloroquine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like whatever with the hydrochloroquine, we'll find out if it works or it doesn't. They're going to do more tests and figure out how to best use it and if it's effective at all. But what really struck me was the way that he was talking about this in really frank ways that I don't think that we hear a lot, because, and rightly so, those who are tasked with presenting the news to us about this pandemic don't want to panic everyone, and I get that. But what he was talking about is that this is a virus like any other. If there's no treatment and no vaccine for it, then the only course is for it to run its course through the entire population. Everyone's got to get it.
So going down the herd immunity route?
Well, yes, but herd immunity works for the herd, but not for everyone in the herd. So someone like myself who, from all the information I'm hearing still, I'm probably still about 50-50 surviving this if I get it and it really digs in. Because of my pre-existing condition with asthma, I've just had fucked lungs my whole life. And without a vaccine, there may be herd immunity, but that doesn't mean that the disease isn't still out there. So I could be looking at, me personally, a year or more till whenever they fully develop a vaccine on this before I can actually fully go back to normal. Before I can, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is what I was thinking, like realizing just, you can be as careful as you want, but you're talking about day in, day out, just going to work and then doing other things, getting gas, you got to go get groceries, you got to stop and get some food whatever it is, you're going to slip up, right? You can't, you're going to do something. At some point, I will pick my nose in public and give myself this disease. So, again, I might be overreacting, but in reality, what's the alternative here? I'm not, if I was a completely healthy person with no pre-existing conditions, I would say, okay, well, then let's get this and do it in a way where I can, push through it and put this behind me. But I don't have that option right now. Or at least doesn't seem like a good option.
Yeah, I did think that one thing that doctor, he had kind of the same opinion that I did of the VA study with really? Are people in the VA hospital the best control group? The first thing I thought was people in Veterans Hospital, those are people that nothing but pre-existing conditions. What's the normal survival rate in a VA hospital anyway? Is kind of what I thought.
That's why I didn't want to get into the whole hydrochloroquine thing, because that's all we have. We have his study up in upstate New York, and we have the Veterans Hospital study, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing's been peer reviewed. Nobody's collating their data and trying to come up with some overarching theory of what's going on here. They're just data points. They're both valid data points as of right now. We don't know. We need more data.
Which I do agree. I agree with.
But speaking of the hospitals, though, what is going on with the local hospitals? Because, Rich, you had brought up, I think, last week that Beaumont was completely shut down. And you said that you found some news about that.
Beaumont Wayne was shut. Well, it wasn't shut down. It was converted. First, it was converted to a COVID-19 facility, to where that's all they were going to handle. And then they said they were moving the worst cases they had initially over to that hospital. I think they had upwards of around approximately 800 patients at one point. Then they said that they didn't need the hospital, the room. So they moved all those patients out, but then they shut down Beaumont. And it was like, wait a minute, why'd you shut down Beaumont? And the two things that I could find locally is there's been talk amongst the employees that they were going to shut it down beforehand.
Oh, really?
That was just rumors. Nobody seems to can point to anything solid that anybody has said that we're shutting this down.
Weird. I don't know about that area in particular, but Beaumont hospitals that's like the health facility crown jewel of the Michigan, of the Metro Detroit area.
Well, I'm going to say this is probably the poorest Beaumont hospital out of the entire Beaumont hospital network. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that's why this hospital, it's a little 5-story older hospital. I mean, this is the hospital I was born in.
Oh, yeah, that probably
was when named Annapolis. It was before it was ever Beaumont.
Right. But it's probably outdated anyway.
I guess.
Yeah.
But now this is for sure, though. This has been confirmed. Somebody okayed the transfer of, or the transformation of an empty Beaumont into basically a makeshift morgue, and
that's why they didn't want anyone to know.
They had health department and some police officers show up and said, we want to go in and inspect, and they said no, flat out, you ain't going in. Yeah. They said we're the cops. They said to come back with a fucking warrant.
Wait, do you know why they were there in the first place? Was it based on like reports, or like people were maybe calling
apparently
stuff
they
in
were
of,
anonymous,
like, what's going on?
Anonymous reports that right, an area that wasn't made to or designed to be a morgue was being used unofficially as a morgue.
So there were actually reports of bodies going in and out.
Oh, there's footage of it.
Right, but I'm just trying to establish what made the cops show up in the first place. It was the reports of the bodies?
As best as I know. You got to remember, man, like no one's being forthright to the news and any of this out of Beaumont and the police and shit, because I think they don't want to scare anybody. I mean, here's the truth. If it was a COVID-19 facility for about a month, which is approximately how long it was, I'm sure out of the, couple thousand of people that have died, if some of the worst cases were there, they probably were overflowing the morgue. There's only so much that can be done with funeral homes. Even if there's like a national mandate that everybody must be cremated. You know what I'm saying? Like the quickest way to dispose of a body, instead of, the burial and digging up the hole and you got to fill the hole in, all this shit, just cremate everybody. They're still going to be back. They're still going to be back, back, for lack of a better term, backups of bodies. Yeah,
we're not just going to throw like bodies a dozen at a time into a huge furnace. There's still a procedure.
So anyways, the apparently a few hours later, somebody from the Beaumont network contacted Wayne County Police and said, you're welcome to come on in. The reason we didn't let you in is because we can't let you in because you have no personal protection gear, and you're wanting to walk into a hospital that was strictly a COVID center for a month. If we'd have done that, that'd have been as irresponsible as just opening the doors and letting kids come in and climb all over shit like it's a jungle gym.
Right.
So essentially, they said that was their reasoning for not letting them in. Then when the cops went in, they found what was going on. Apparently, there was some talk. You know, they were like, "Look, we weren't trying to hide anything, but this isn't something that you put on the front page of the fucking local paper, because this is going to freak people out." And of course, there was, you know, Channel 7, you know, pocket fucking profiteers who were like, you know, Channel 7 I just picked a local channel, by the way, no reason.
Yeah.
But you know, filming here, you can see them bringing bodies out. It's like, yeah, they're bringing bodies out, but they're bringing them out. They're in body bags. The people are covered up. They're taking them to hearses. They're on. You know, it's not like this is National Guardsmen chucking bodies. You know, like cordwood or some shit at Auschwitz.
Like, again, like I was saying with the announcements from the doctors and the scientists and stuff, I get the idea behind not wanting to panic people, not wanting to make people, you know, because people act irrationally when they act out of fear, and that's not what we want right now. But on the other hand, there are positive ways that fear can be a motivator, right? I mean, if actually, you know, I'm not saying that you put up a sign saying, "Hey, this is turned into a morgue," and then put like a clicker with the body count on there of how many bodies are currently in this morgue. But something to that effect might, you know, get through to the skulls of some of these idiots out there protesting. But then again, even as I'm saying it, I'm realizing that I'm wrong, because they'll just say, "Oh, you know, you can't even prove there are bodies in there."
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
There were people that were like trying to, they were posting all these like Facebook images of like, how can this person died of COVID and they were a nurse that lived in Michigan, and the same person is a teacher in Indiana and they died 2 days later. They're making these things up.
Oh, there's been a couple I've seen of those. It's someone who apparently was a police officer who retired, went and became a lawyer, who was later elected to a judge to a seat.
Basically, they found two different social media pages, one of them old, one of them current.
Yeah, it was like, look at him, they're saying he's a cop, a lawyer, and a judge. And I'm like, yeah, because that career path is impossible to put together. Right?
It never happens.
Never happened before. No one has ever moved up in their job.
Yeah, it's not like there's a
judges
major
are hired off the street, aren't they? They're like, you look like you'd look good in a robe.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a major character on Law & Order SVU right now who just took that same path.
Yeah. Cops never go to night school and become lawyers.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie American Gangster. Have no idea how that story turned out, right? But so that
was the truth behind it is that it was a morgue and they just didn't want to put a neon sign up.
I'm imagining they didn't want to advertise, and it is grim business. And here's the truth: in Western culture, we coddle ourselves from death.
We're really uptight about it. Yeah.
Death is something that we don't talk about, we don't joke about, we don't want to fucking bring out into the light. We've turned what morticians do almost into like a magic trick that we don't want to see how it's done. Here, we're giving you our loved one's body, turn them out with a whimsical look on their face and too much rouge.
We can tackle it in the abstract, though. Like we can joke about it in the abstract and make movies where people just die by the thousands. It doesn't even fight. It's when it happens in real life that we have a hard time dealing with it. And I think maybe it's because we've kind of, I don't know, abstracted death too much.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is just because people are living longer. The healthcare system has gotten as good as it is in the last 50 years. But I mean, when I was a kid, 3 years in a row, I buried an uncle and then a grandfather and then my next grandfather, 3 summers in a row. For 4, 5, and 6. So I knew what death was at a young age because you can lie to a 4-year-old.
Is like, can somebody try and get me out of school once? Like, why does this keep happening in the summertime?
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, you can tell a 4-year-old, oh, well, Uncle Tommy went to sleep and he's never waking up. But 6-year-olds like, The whole fucking family's going to sleep every fucking summer. What's going on here, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I think that
was the advantage of being brought up in a religious household. They just went, so-and-so went to heaven. And until a certain age, that didn't affect you. You're like, all right, cool. They're with Jesus. I'm going to go play. Yeah. You know?
You picture them like having a sandwich with Santa Claus and Jesus on a cloud. And you're like, oh, it sounds like fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, and it's just people, you have to remember this, okay? If you got people right now who are locked up in their houses or leaving their houses minimally, constantly now for weeks, they're seeing stuff, they're hearing stories where they're only hearing 10-20% of the whole story, and they fill the rest of it in with, you know, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. I saw this on the X-Files once. So you just got to take a fucking grain of salt and understand that nothing nefarious is going on necessarily. Do you really want them do you really want them to be cavalier about moving dead bodies out of a hospital in broad daylight for everybody? Because where that hospital is at is right on the corner of a busy main street and a busy side street. And I mean, you can clearly see from all around that hospital any entrance and exit. That's how those people got that footage. Now, do you want them just to cavalierly just be dumping bodies out the front door? You know, grabbing an earth mover and treating them like dirt, putting them into a dump truck, and taking them off somewhere? I mean, because if that would happen, you know people would be losing their fucking minds. All the memes would be pictures of that shit contrasted with what happened in Nazi Germany.
No, because, yeah, but you remember how everyone lost their minds the one day where those pictures were on the news from New York City with those mass graves? People were losing their shit for 2 days. So, yeah, I can imagine
there was a quote from somebody in the Beaumont system that I think was kind of a shot at, I don't know how like, it just seemed like he took a shot at the New York system, but he was like, do you really want us to have empty reefer unit trailers lined with dead bodies like they do in New York? And it's like, ooh, no. Because if you know what a reefer unit is, it hauls foliage, it hauls food.
It ain't a hot box.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so like, no, I don't want a bunch of dead people in the fucking same 53-foot trailers that as soon as we're done with this shit, I'm counting on some minimum wage worker who's no longer essential, so fuck him, to go in and clean out well enough to be able to haul food. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm good. I'm not even talking about the virus at this point. I'm just talking about the fact that you got a bunch of dead people fucking stacked up in a goddamn trailer.
Yeah.
You know anything about shipping and receiving, it's not hard to lose a trailer in a yard. Imagine losing one for about 3 months and then opening that bitch. Yeah, I'm good. No, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm real good on that. But yeah, so I mean, to me, that's just it's kind of a parable, folks. Calm down. Don't let your imagination run wild. Stop and think about the reality of the situation. And understand that these people are trying to be pragmatic. These people have nothing to cover up. They were in that fucking hospital taking care of people that were dying. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And when you have people dying in waves like they were, people coming in waves like they were, this was not people walking into the hospital. This was a few weeks of them shipping the sickest people in this fucking state to this hospital. And then the deaths started. I think the scariest thing to come out of all this situation is the fact that someone asked about, you know, the infection and, you know, could driving by, living near there, et cetera, et cetera. They said, no, it's the same as anything. And then someone followed up the question. They followed up with, well, how many of these people were on ventilators, et cetera, et cetera? And the response was a very doctor, cold, calculated, once we put you on a ventilator, less than 50% come off alive.
Yes.
So
and
don't
the other
think
50,
and the other ones that come out don't necessarily come out with 100% lung function.
Thank you.
Or kidney function, or heart function.
Yes.
Because this does affect all that shit. That's the most dangerous thing about this, is that it can hide as something else until it gets its claws in your respiratory system, and then it's too late.
Yep.
So, I mean...
Well, yeah, if it fucks with your kidneys, that makes sense that the obesity angle... Like people with obesity seem to be affected by this a lot.
Well, if you have unchecked high blood pressure, that just pounds on your kidneys. Mm-hmm. I mean, badly.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I had blood work and lab work done, knock on wood, and I guess I got the constitution of a fucking warhorse. They're like, kidney function good, liver enzymes good, lungs clear. Don't know how. If everything you told us is true, we don't know how. But I'm like, I'm just sitting there like.
Were you like, could you repeat the part about the liver again?
Well, I mean, because I've just had doctors be like, "Are you exaggerating?" And I'm like, "Would you like me to put you on the phone with some friends of mine?" Like, seriously, no, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I'm sorry that I have a higher tolerance than the average pussy. I don't know what to say. I wish I could drink 3 beers and be sloshed. How much money I'd have saved over the years?
I mean, my old drummer had something a couple years ago, and it was something with his liver, and they had to run a whole bunch of tests on his liver, and they said his liver was fine. We were like, really? This guy? Like the guy who puts back a 6-pack in a half-hour set? We're sure?
Yeah. That's about it. So, but everybody just calm down, understand. This is part of the shit that normally is done behind the scenes, behind the curtain. With everything going on, if you live in a hot zone, you're going to see behind the curtain a little bit. Don't get crazy with it. Don't go all tinfoil fucking hat and try to move up to the fucking UP and start a cult or some shit. Because I think that's probably the next thing we're going to hear about, mass exodus of people from the middle of the state going to the UP, trying to live off the grid. Have fun with that.
There's no internet on the grid.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm just worried about the stupidity of, okay, so what happens when 2 people who've set up in some cabin in the UP run into each other in the woods? You know what I'm saying? If it's not a clearly friendly meeting, is it
a duel?
This person's trying to come on to my shit, trying to take my food. Next thing you know, a couple of years later, we keep finding bodies in the woods, shot in the back of the head.
Fresh meat. Oh, at least now you know about that hospital, because it kind of baffled all of us. Like, really? We're closing hospitals at a time like this?
Well, there's other hospitals around the country, like in hard-hit areas, that are letting medical staff go. I'm not even going to front and act like I know what that's about.
We had a case of it here locally, and it was because we might talked about. You might not have been on the show. We talked about it. Apparently, elective surgeries are a big revenue generator.
Yes,
that's what's been causing a lot of layoffs at hospitals. Is apparently, a boob job generates some little bit of cash. But then we also talked about some elective surgeries
generates a lot of cash, mostly in ones though.
Yeah. But just sometimes an elective surgery is, hey, you got this bum part of your knee, and it won't kill you to not get it fixed. Elective surgery, stuff like that, too. So
yeah, you're putting off your new hip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all I know is that if I was scheduled for a surgery at this point in time, and they told me there was any way I could put it off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. I don't want to be in the or like, can you come outside and do the surgery? I don't want to go in that fucking hospital, man. You kidding me?
Like, just walk me through it. Get on Skype.
New business model for you: curbside surgery.
I ordered some forceps on Amazon. I'll call you when they get here.
It's like in college football where they have the players on the sideline holding the different signs, like one's an eye, one's a screw, one's an eagle, and it's like the plays and shit. There's like just doctors, surgeons holding out. Now cut. Okay, now give me the next cue card. Okay, now don't nick the artery. Oh shit, he nicked the artery. What do we do? Grab the super glue.
And it's you going, my left or your left?
Yeah.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
It's Wild Card Weekend, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. For the first time in league history, 6 games are on the board during the opening round of the playoffs. Feature games Saturday include Indy at Buffalo and LA at Seattle. On Sunday, Chicago visits the Big Easy, while divisional rivals Cleveland and Pittsburgh square off. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as the journey to Tampa gets underway. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
It's easy to find flooring online, but imagining those floors on your floor, a bit trickier. So Lumber Liquidators made Pictrip, which adds our floors to a photo of your space. Just point, snap, and choose a floor. It's great if you're looking for new floors. Also, still fun if you're not. Try Pictrip, only at llflooring.com. These are the floors homes are built on. Get free samples of your favorite floors sent to your home. Visit llflooring.com to order today.
More time at home means more washing, drying, cooking, and cleaning at home, and more wear and tear on old appliances. But it's the perfect time to save on new ones at the Home Depot. For savings on the latest appliances, and right now, free delivery. From the kitchen to the laundry room, that upgrade is well within reach. And closer than ever. Save on top appliances, now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Free delivery on major appliances, $396 or more, valid through January 27th.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
So, kind of to have kind of backtrack, I guess, but not really. But getting on to because I do think the way customers have been acting lately and cabin fever, I think there's a correlation there. But we finally have our answer to how long would it take for goodwill to go away in the middle of a pandemic? 5 weeks. Because all this week, everybody's went back to their pre-fucking COVID. You fucking kidding me? Why didn't I get my pizza 15 minutes after I ordered it for delivery?
Well, you can just tell by some of the stories that are starting to filter into the news cycle that we're slowly heading back to where we were. Like stupid, dumb shit is starting to show up again. So I get what you're saying. Our pettiness is starting to rear its head again. We know we generally the fear is gone. We know we're going to live through this, so we can fire up the pet. I'm expecting someone to be canceled again anytime, any minute now. We've had a 6-week moratorium on cancellations.
Isn't it amazing how quickly and decisively and with no remorse and no pining away about the good old days of remember when we would get upset about everything because identity politics ruled the entire world around us? You know, this shit just went away when the shit hit the fan, and it was like, boy, it's been nice. Well, it's really been nice not to hear about, like, you know, well, except for, like I said,
depending on the radio station, depending on the news source you read.
The one radio station here in Detroit, it's like, you know, they had the guy on that called in that sounded like Professor Griff from fucking Public Enemy talking about, black man, the coronavirus will kill you. Yes. And I was like, okay, Mufasa. All right, brother. Preach. You know what I'm saying? Like, but besides that type shit, it really hasn't been a bunch of nonsense, man. I haven't heard about it in the news, unless I'm missing something, but I don't go digging for these stories, so I'm guessing that these stories just haven't floated up to the top lately because there's bigger boats at the top of the water to fucking cover.
Yes. Yeah, trust me, you've had...
Well, I think Ellen dodged a bullet. Like, people were ramping up to pile on her, and...
Yeah, that lasted like a day.
Knocked it out of the headlines. Mm-hmm. And, it's all old stories anyway, right? It's all these, you know, like people that used to work for her, they got fired for some stupid reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the shit with, so Joe Rogan's podcast, he's finally relented and he started doing Skype, Zoom, what the fuck ever. He would only have someone on if they absolutely positively, if they were scheduled beforehand and something come up and that was the only way they could do the show. That's the only way he would do that, because he's like, I hate that format. I hate it. But he's finally relented. But now for the people that come out to his studio, he went and secured non-FDA approved tests, but they're not tests to see if you have the coronavirus or tests to see if you have any of the antibodies. Meaning, did you have it, and are you know what I'm saying? Are you okay? And people are flipping out because how can he get tests? And I'm like, did you not see right at the top of the article, non-FDA approved tests? These are private companies putting these tests out. These are not coming from the government. He's not diverting tests from drive-up testing facilities because they're not the same test, period. He's paying out of pocket for a product from a private company that, to be brutally honest, who fucking knows if it's accurate, if it works or not? Well, I mean, it could say someone's got the antibodies, and meanwhile they got a full-blown fucking case on deck that hasn't hit them yet. Who the fuck knows?
And it's Joe Rogan. Like, come on. The guy's, he's into the pseudoscience.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, he is. And he's alternative medicine and all that shit. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, the thing is that, like, I saw the ramp up to, we're about to get offended. And then people were just like, man, I ain't got the energy for this bullshit. Like, I got bigger issues, man. I've been locked up with my kids for 5 weeks. Do you understand that I'm watching The Shining and calling Jack Nicholson the good guy?
Yeah.
You know, like
he's just misunderstood.
Down. I'm watching Falling Down, and I'm nodding at everything Michael Douglas says in that movie.
You're rooting for Michael Douglas.
I did that anyways.
Ellen may have not escaped unscathed yet. Fox News has a story from 2 days ago. Ellen DeGeneres faces another allegation of rude behavior following a series of spats. I love that. Allegation of rude behavior. Is rude behavior an allegation? Like, it's not something you can sue for. It's not something you can have somebody arrested for. It's not really an allegation. I mean, an allegation, I guess, is a pretty blanket term. You can accuse somebody of being like.
That could just be Fox News covering their ass as a journalist, as a journalism organization. Like, it's something they can't substantiate, so they're just saying, "Hey, somebody told us this," so they have to word it that way.
Sure, I get that, but it also, once you start like going, well, what if could we be, legal? Is this legally actionable if we say that she was rude? Doesn't that make you then question what the fuck are we reporting on? Okay, why are we telling a story about how Ellen was rude?
Well, there's the other thing. Well, but you just said libel. If that person wasn't saying the truth and they report it,
sure, yeah, I get that.
But now I'm with you. Why are we wasting time on this?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Rude behavior. Like, I get it. This is like people who work in this industry, did you think that you were going to retire working for the Ellen Show? Like, these people bounce around from job to job all the time. They get fired for all kinds of stupid reasons. And in this case, one of them was because Ellen was a bitch. I mean, who the fuck cares?
And working on those shows, first of all, there's two worlds. Chris can attest to this. They had to break it down in like second grade language for in specs because just like the military, you got to teach to your slowest and weakest link. But like they broke it down to us. They're like, you do not hear about 99% of the bullshit that happens behind the scenes. Because people don't want to burn bridges and they want to be able to work in this industry in the future.
Yeah.
So even if they work for someone like Ellen, who might be a fucking thunder cunt from down under, who knows? She might be the greatest person in the world. This might be bullshit. I don't know. I've never met the bitch. But if she's a twat to her people and fires them left and right, then people in the industry know that, and they're probably like, so it says here you worked for Ellen. And there's a knowing look passed between the interviewee and the interviewer, and they're like, when can you start?
Letterman had the same thing going on, too. Sure. But one thing I think of, where did this all come from? Some guy was asked for something on Twitter, and this all turned into a thing.
Some guy asked for something on Twitter.
Somebody was writing a story about Ellen and was like, share with me your stories. And
he put out he called out for Ellen stories and got flooded.
And the one thing that I've kind of what Rich was talking about, one thing I thought about was like, man, all these people sharing this dirt have either moved on to a way better job that they are secure in, or they have moved on from the industry because they apparently have no interest in continuing to work.
Or it's the case of like this story that Fox News is reporting on. This is a Dutch beauty blogger named Nikki de Jager. Maybe it's Jaeger. And she was to appear on the Ellen DeGeneres show. And she says, let's see, here's her quote, "Call me naive, but I kind of expected to be welcomed with confetti cannons. But instead I was greeted by an angry intern who was a bit overworked. I was expecting a Disney show, but I got Teletubbies after dark. I don't even know what that means, but what the so you've never been on a TV show before is what you're telling us."
Yeah, right.
You thought all of TV was going to be like Disney, and it turns out there's just some regular old behind-the-scenes grunt work that goes into it, and you were disappointed.
You mean Mr. Rogers doesn't wear that sweater home?
So as of like no actual contact with Ellen in this experience, just a overworked intern, which you could probably run into anywhere that they're filming anything.
Yeah.
You're going to throw a rock and hit an overworked, angry intern. She goes on to say, "Every guest at Ellen's had a private toilet, but I didn't. I was not allowed to use the nearest toilet because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers. Why do they get a private toilet, I thought?
Because they're the Jonas Brothers?
But in the end, my item had 8 million views afterward, and theirs 2 million.
Yeah, and...
whatever.
Okay, first person we've never heard of. Shall we review this again? Shall we just go by units sold versus you? There was a fucking... They came from Disney. For the mid to late 2000s, they had number one... Fuck you, whoever this person is. Continue.
And what she says specifically about Ellen, her experience on the show is a happy one, but later in an interview, when asked about it, she said that Ellen was a little cold.
Okay, Dutch beauty blogger we've never heard of, go back to us never hearing of you.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of... I'm sorry for wasting everyone's time with that. It was absolutely nothing but amusing.
So it sounds like she's one of those guests that the network went to Ellen, "You're going to have her on." And Ellen was like, "I don't even know who the fuck she is." And they're like, "That's not our problem. Make it work."
Could have been.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like seriously. I mean, if for whatever reason Adam Carolla got a phone call and said, "You're going to have these 3 guys from this unregimented podcast on," he'd be like, "Fuck them," and why?
Well, all I know is that if I was at a party with this woman and somebody called her over and said, oh, you got to tell your Ellen story, I'd be like, really? That's it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not much of a story.
All you got. She didn't throw anything. You weren't called a name. There's no slur anywhere in here.
Fox News contacts you. Here's the same story, and they're like, "Oh, I can make this like this is a whole story." Absolutely, yeah. We can milk this for everything.
Fox News is like in this situation and many others. It's like the kid that's like instigating the fight between the two in the lunchroom. Like, "Ooh, did you hear what he said about your mama?" He's like, "I didn't say anything about his mama." "Oh no, man, don't listen to him, man. I heard. No. He said she a fat hoe, dude." Yeah, man, I wouldn't take that, man. I don't. Whew, you better do something.
Yeah, Media's out because what was it? CNN was doing it with Fauci 2 weeks ago. Aaron and I were talking about it's a new tactic that the media does where it's hey, we got to fill this news cycle. Let's poke the bear.
It's as old as news itself.
I see what you're saying. It's just, I should say, it's new where they don't even try to hide it anymore. That's what's new to me.
They're more blatant about it. Yes, absolutely.
They used to try to hide it. Now I think they're just getting lazy, right?
Right. If anybody asked, "Are you sure this is news?" the response would be, "It's about Ellen." Of course, it's news. People you write a story about Ellen, people are going to click on it. Therefore, it's news.
Mm-hmm. The same way. It's news the same way 10 fired up idiots on Twitter is news.
And by the way, haven't we heard these stories like forever.
Well,
I mean, that's what I remember. She had like a couple years
about Ellen?
of being the happy dancing lesbian on television, and then all of a sudden the story started pouring out about what she was like behind the scenes. So I like how people are trying to make this some kind of like Bill Cosby moment. Like this is all finally catching up where, everyone's been talking and there's been whispers. People know, and this is all gonna.
Yeah, but I'll take mean over a rapist.
That she's an asshole? That she's a fucking asshole? That's it?
I'll take mean over a rapist.
Exactly. Anyone would.
Man, look.
In any occasion.
I will defend someone like Johnny Carson, because I know that his history is in the process of being rewritten, because he was one of those guys that was like a lot like Trump. You're either loyal or you're not. And if you're not loyal, I got nothing to do with you. Why bother with you?
Yeah.
Now whether you're a lawyer or not was all up to his subjective standards. But I'll defend him as a late night talk show host, as a comedian. But that doesn't mean that he was the best. These are human beings, folks. They're not fucking saints behind the scenes. Stop expecting this shit.
Yeah, I know he seemed like everybody's nice grandpa on television, but it turns out he was just a dick if you knew him in real life, and that's fine. I didn't know him in real life. He's not my grandpa, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Like that's like the backlash about how tone deaf celebrities are, especially at the start of this quarantine, when they're putting out Imagine, and then some fucking American Idol chick gets up, she's like, oh my god, it's a virus and I feel bad for it, but I mean, people, I just don't want them to get sick, so I might just stay home, that way the virus will just go away. It's like, bitch, this ain't the story of Passover. This ain't Creeping Death by Metallica, you dumb hoe. All right? The shit don't come knocking on your door. Oh, there's lamb's blood. I better go to the next house. No, that's not how this shit works. And it proved how out of touch these fucking people were, as they're sitting there in their fucking mansions talking about, we know it's hard to quarantine. Oh, do we?
Yeah.
You mean the people on your staff know how hard it is to quarantine?
How come Ellen's getting railroaded because she's a bitch, but Oprah gets to roll out every quack doctor and people who aren't even, they're not even fake doctors. People who don't even bother to put doctor in front of their name, and she puts them on TV and asks them medical advice.
My new favorite name for Dr. Phil comes from John Oliver, not a Dr. Phil.
Yeah. Yeah. Todd McFarlane. That's the guy who wrote Spider-Man. Yeah. What's his name? McFarlane. Family Guy dude.
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. Yes. Yeah, he was interviewed recently, and he was talking about Oprah, and he prefaced this with like, "Look, she is no doubt a great person, just based on her actions, her charities, her she's done a lot to help people, but then this is what he was saying. I don't get why she puts these quacks on. Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, she was the one who was given TV time to what's her nuts on the thinking that vaccines caused autism.
Oh, Jenny McCarthy?
Jenny McCarthy.
Because Oprah knows how to talk to white ladies, to middle-aged white ladies. Oprah has figured out how to dog whistle to the middle-aged white lady, and she's been doing it for 30 fucking years.
Well, who's watching Ellen?
Same people.
Right.
Oprah canceled the show.
How come Oprah gets a pass on her behavior and Ellen doesn't? Ellen might be an asshole to the people around her and making them feel upset. But
you want the real answer?
Is actually giving. I know what the real answer is.
We know why Oprah gets a pass.
Yes, we know. And the only reason that we held off this long on Ellen is because she was a lesbian. But now,
that bought her some time.
Her whiteness is starting to overshadow her lesbianism.
I honestly think it's because probably Oprah is everything we're talking about, but also Oprah is a fucking media giant unto herself. Ellen ain't.
That's true.
I mean, Ellen's And from the 35 years ago when I first saw it, like Star Search, to now, you done good, woman. Congratulations, you built your fucking castle. You got your life set. But Oprah is on the next fucking level. Yeah, Oprah's damn near Disney.
When someone sat Oprah down and talked to her about diversifying her portfolio, she fucking listened. Like, oh yeah, watch this.
Yeah, she owns like Weight Watchers.
Yeah, she's got her hand in everything. Weight Watchers, publishing, studios. Like she's got
smart.
She's
extremely smart.
See, like if I think if something's going to come out about something like her, it's going to be like one of those later in life as she's stepped out of the spotlight and her popularity starting to wane in the public consciousness. Then we'll start hearing the horror stories, or it might just be one of those. Gotta wait for her to die and Stedman's book come out.
I bet you we won't hear horror stories. We might hear some secrets.
Will her and Gail make it legal before she dies?
Turns out she was dating question. Ellen the whole time.
That's it. Can her and Gail just make it legal before she dies?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. You can't tell with people what they put on television. From what they put on television, you can't tell if they're what type of person they're going to be in real life. But I do get the sense that Oprah is pretty genuine, and unfortunately, I think that she believes Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil.
She is also another person in the category of it would be exhausting to hang out with Oprah. Good couple hours, I'd be all set. Hanging out with her a whole day would just probably be draining.
Are you kidding? Like 5 minutes in, we'd have nothing to talk about.
I'd almost rather talk to Stedman. So, how do you find this line of work?
Yeah, right.
Like seriously, this is a good job, dude. That's all I gotta say.
I'd just be trying to keep the conversation going for as long as possible, hoping some $100 bills would fall out of her pocket or something.
Now I'm just picturing that South Park where the gun takes Oprah's vagina hostage. Minge,
it is Oprah's minge.
Minge, are you with me? Are you with me, buddy? And of course, her vagina is British for some reason. So's the gun, which makes no sense. Oh, yeah. South Park, The Boondocks, and Scrubs. 80% of my references right there.
Could be worse.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Do it yourself doesn't have to mean all by yourself. Help is as close as HomeDepot.com/workshops now with free DIY live stream workshops. Live hands-on courses from real expert associates. Learn how to install floor tile, create a tile backsplash, replace a thermostat, and more. All from the best seat in the house, yours. To register, go to HomeDepot.com/workshops. Only from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're gonna
pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, do we want to move on to the more lighthearted stuff? Because we've been trying to, like...
I thought that was it.
Oh, well, I mean, I was, like, even more lighthearted. Like, like, get off the whole bitch thing and just, see what...
Well, what do you got?
we've been kind of like unofficially tagging at the end of Friday's episode, like anything that caught your eye or ear, I guess, even at this point during the week, whether it be a podcast, a new song, album, TV show, video game.
Yeah, fun stuff. I think I mentioned that I've been watching Killing Eve, which turns out is produced and some of the episodes are written by Phoebe Waller-Bridges. So I had no idea. I guess I'm a fan of hers now. That show is endlessly surprising. So the second season gets really good too. I'm about halfway through season 2 at the moment. So not a super, it's a British show. So I think you get 8 episodes a season.
Yeah,
It's not a super long binge, but it's good.
And they do. They tend to do short seasons, and they do a lot shorter runs of seasons. Or don't they call them? They don't call them seasons. They call them series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Series 1 and Series 2. Right. And I watched my first episode of Columbo the other day, and I think I'm going to watch another one.
Like from the 70s, Columbo?
Yeah, straight up, dude. It was good. It was really good.
What, is your internet broken?
No. Well, so I'm a big fan of John Suntress, who does the Word Balloon podcast. He's a radio guy from Chicago. He's really into comics and sports. And Word Balloon is almost entirely with comic book creators and people involved in the industry, but they often get off topic and get into like old movies and TV shows and stuff like that, and all kinds of other pop culture stuff. And they did like a whole episode. It was him and Tom King, who's like the big superstar writer on that just finished up his run on Batman, and I blanking on who the other guy was. And they just talked about Columbo for like 2 hours and shared their favorite episodes. So I was like, I gotta at least check out one episode and see what this is about. And I don't know if they're all like this. Everything from season 1 is like a fucking movie. They're not like a 60-minute show chopped up with commercials in there. Like, it was a fucking hour and 20-minute Columbo episode, and the next episode was the same. So these must have ran for like 2 hours on TV with the commercials in them.
You and my dead grandma have same taste in TV. It's crazy.
Well, here's what you
can watch this again this weekend. You binging Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah, I might. And this is what was unique about this, and I don't know, maybe all the episodes are like this. And definitely there were some of those, the Columbo tropes were already in there from episode 1 of just one more thing that's bothering me, though. He's always got that last follow-up stinger question. He always surprises you with the gotcha question at the end. But, I don't know. What was my point? I forgot where I was going with this.
That you watched Columbo and you liked it.
I watched Columbo. Oh, here's what I was trying to get to. It was unique because it shows you the murder, right? It starts with a man who is having an affair with like his secretary or some shit, planning the murder of his wife and setting up their alibi. And so they do the whole murder. You see how it happens. You see everything. You know what they did to cover it up. And then half hour into the episode, Columbo comes waltzing in, and it's this, the next hour is just this battle of wills between the guy who committed the murder and Columbo, trying to pry each other apart. And so it's not like a whodunit type of murder mystery where like, oh, I didn't see that twist coming. It's more of just like seeing the guy at work, right? Columbo, the detective at work. It's not about, like, you got to know, if you're watching a Columbo episode, he's going to solve it, right? So you know that much, and you already know how it happened. So all the mystery and all the excitement is in how he's going to do it. And it fucking works, man. I was super into it.
Chris, you do know that he's talking about a reboot, right?
No, I thought he was about Peter Falk.
I'm talking about Peter Falk.
What?
Yes, you were talking. That's what he said.
There's
like 70s Columbo.
There's a Columbo reboot, and you're talking about 1970. What next? We're going to debate the Barney Miller theme? What the fuck?
Dude, it's one of the best themes. Absolutely.
No, it is. It is. That's why there's no debate about it.
I'm telling you, Columbo is just one of those things that is just ingrained into our minds from our childhoods, right?
Maybe
it was just something that our parents and grandparents watched, and we knew peripherally about it, and it was like, oh, I get it. No, he's a detective, and it's a detective show. They're all over TV. And I was very surprised to find out it wasn't anything like a traditional police procedural television show. It was quite different, especially for its time.
Well, damn, that's going back into the vault this Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fucking download one of them free fucking channels on your Roku TV to watch Columbo. I don't even know where to find that.
Oh, because I signed up for Amazon Prime, so I get.
Okay.
I think season 1. You get IMDb TV is on Amazon Prime, but it's not. So it's not part of the Amazon Prime lineup. So there are commercials in there.
By the way, they're going back and forth between Mark Ruffalo and Natasha Lyonne for the Columbo reboot.
Oh, so they're working on it?
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo. Gosh, he would make a great Columbo.
I honestly thought it was already out. Yeah, I thought it was already out, so I was wrong about that. So, okay. So it makes more sense now. But as you can see, if the situation was reversed and you thought it was out, you'd be like, wait, what? You can't be talking about the old one.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I mean, fuck it then. Since we're talking about old shit, I don't know. This week I picked up my guitar and started noodling around a lot more than I have in a long time, and was looking for some stuff to check out that I hadn't checked out before, and through pure fuckery, turned to DET, and they were playing a Fugazi song off of 13 songs. I can't remember which one. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard this forever. And then the next song comes on, and I could kick myself because I know both of you are going to go, oh, we know that band. We know that album. We know that song. Dead Can Dance. Ubiquitous Mr. Lovegroove.
The ubiquitous Mr. Lovegroove was like
Grove. Yeah, Grove.
But I always thought it was Grove, but it might be Grove.
I don't know.
Grove. I only know it from the radio. I think I owned a couple Dead Can Dance albums, but I never got seriously into them. I was just buying anything that came out on 4AD because there's a chunk of that, the 4AD catalog in the 90s. It's like 90% genius between the Breeders, the Pixies, Licorice, His Name Is Alive. Lush. Cocteau Twins.
Was Sugar on there?
No, Sugar was Ryko.
Okay.
Wasn't it? Or I don't know. Like Ryko always confused me because they mostly did reissues, but I remember the new Sugar stuff coming out on Ryko. But I think there was another sub-label, I think it was released on a small label and maybe Ryko did the distribution. Maybe it was like a Caroline Records thing. Like Caroline Records would pick up shit from like SST and other smaller labels and give them national distribution.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been digging into music that I somehow missed for 30 fucking years. So
you know what I like? So Lisa Germano, you might want to check her out because she was one of the members of Dead Can Dance, and she put out a couple solo albums, and I liked them a lot more than the stuff in Dead Can Dance is a little enigma-y. It's a little chanty, It's got a lot of the world music elements in there, and mixed with those like 90s techno drum loop stuff. What was on every fucking hit in the 90s. That fucking.
Well, when it came on the radio, I had no idea who it was, and I was like, okay, is this a Tea Party song I've never heard? Because they had a real
cool
strong
ass song because it's got that snaky beat to it that kind of drags.
Yeah, and it's got the Middle Eastern snake charmer flute going through it, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe it's oh shit, It slipped my mind. But yeah, I was like, is this? Oh, I thought it was either Tea Party or 11. I don't know if you remember that group.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember 11.
Oh yeah.
I was like, because it kind of sounds like this shit. Like had that vibe to it, but I'm like, those vocals aren't matching up with either of those bands, though. So,
well, also, I believe the majority of their content is instrumental. And that was kind of a rare pop hit for them. But most of their album material is it's not quite as catchy as that. It sounds more like soundtrack music, really. And I don't mean that as a diss. I just don't know how else to explain it. You don't really have a category for that type of music in pop culture.
Yeah, I got you. What about you, Chris?
Aaron and I ran across something on when we recorded the Wiesman the other night. I got this guy saved in my YouTube library. Did you ever check out the rest of that album, Aaron?
I have not yet. It was so we got into just talking about old Roland instruments, and the 303 came up, and I can't remember how we got there, but we were just looking for old ass. Oh, it was
on a list of like a list Vice came out with of like the top 808 tracks of all time or something like that.
The top slept on 808 tracks, right? But I think it was like the last thing on their list too, and it was this guy he had put out this crazy electronic album in like 1981 or 82.
82, Sharanji
82
Singh.
So, and it's got the Roland 303, which if you've ever heard any acid techno, is that very distinctive squelchy kind of growly sound.
This shit is way ahead of its time, dude. Like at least a decade ahead of its time.
This is 1982 would have been 1 year after the TB303 was released, and before artists like Juan Atkins or anybody from Chicago would have scooped one of these up in a pawn shop and started tweaking it and really getting those crazy acid sounds that we know from like Acid House in Chicago and in Europe. Yeah, this guy, the shit sounds like the stuff off of Warp Records and like the early Aphex Twin shit that I used to listen to in the 90s.
It's called 10 Ragas to a 10 Ragas to a Disco Beat. It's on Spotify, but apparently you have to pay for Spotify to hear it. It's not on Google Play. It's on YouTube. YouTube Music. So that's the way I found it. I had to save the playlist. But yeah, this shit is like just super ahead of its time. Like it just blew my mind. Like this is from 1982.
Yeah, and it's got some. I mean, it's definitely Indian, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got those influences in there, and it might not come across cleanly over Skype, Rich, but like there's a lot of layers of different weird electronic sounds that wouldn't have been commonplace at the time, but would be all over techno music, 15, 20 years later.
This was the track that was actually on the list. Like, you hear them all.
Listen to that. Yeah. That sounds like a fucking Aphex Twin bass line from the 90s.
Uh-oh. Did you guys, through pure fuckery, find out where Richard whatever his face
Richard
is
D. James?
stole his best shit from?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, 1982. Dude, this sounds like this could have came out last week. Especially now with all the lo-fi drum machines being the hot shit.
Yeah, with a lot of that shit coming back.
I swear to God, it's like hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar part on Let's Dance. Mm-hmm. And then hearing any Albert King guitar part and going, all he did was play all of Albert King's shit. That's all.
Yeah.
Like any check he got from that, he should have just endorsed and forwarded to Albert King and been like, thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's new shit I found this week. Then I'm going to start listening to the Office Ladies podcast. Because I realized, I went going through The Office again. I missed like 3 fucking seasons. I apparently just slept through them. Like, I missed the whole arc of when Ryan goes to corporate, when he comes back, like whatever happens to Rashida Jones. I missed all that shit.
You pass out on the couch and Netflix just plays it all night.
That's
and you
saying.
Wake up and you're like, oh, they got a new boss. All right.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, for real. Like, there's like, wow. I'm like, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. So, that's not. Cause that's
a good feeling.
I stayed up late last night, got hammered, and just watched a whole bunch of them I hadn't seen.
It's like that every once in a while, before everything was available on streaming, and after Simpsons had stopped being consistently funny week in and week out, every once in a while you would stumble across one of those episodes like from season 7 or 8 that you just happened to miss when it came out. And you're like, I've got a whole new Simpsons episode from the prime era.
Dude, I'm talking about, I missed chunks of this show. 9 seasons. I missed large chunks. So, yeah, I mean, like everyone else, I've seen the first 3 seasons a million times and the last 3 seasons a million times. It's like the 3 in the middle, apparently, I missed.
I don't know, all the stuff in the middle is the best.
Oh, yeah. It just makes me, I can't wait for the Steve Carell show that's coming out in May. The Space Force.
Yeah. Yes.
That guy is such a fucking... And how does John Krasinski not get credit for being one of the great comic straight men, like, ever?
There's some rumor that he's going to be involved in the Fantastic Four movie. That he's
just a great setup man.
Well, I want him to be Mr. Fantastic, and that wasn't the rumor. He was going to be involved behind the scenes, but my God, he would make such a great Mr. Fantastic.
No, him, Mr. Fantastic, and then his wife, Emily Blunt, Invisible Woman. Boom.
Fuck yeah, dude. Done. That's your movie right there. It doesn't even matter who you cast 2 idiots to play Ben Grimm and the Human Torch.
You could even cast the idiot who played Captain America to play the Human Torch. Somewhere there's a what's his face, Chris Evans fan going, "Fuck you, fat man. That's not funny." But he was hotter as Captain America. So it's kind of been an old school week in the shit that we've kept ourselves interested in. And believe me, that wasn't planned out. I don't. Yeah. We didn't sit down and go, hey, let's only talk about shit that happened fucking 30 plus years ago. Hey, you guys hear that song Pac-Man Fever?
Like, I'm an easy mark for nostalgia like most people are, but I don't tend to wallow in it left to my own devices. I don't rewatch a lot of shows. There's just too much out there to watch. There's very few movies that I've watched multiple times. But finding something that you overlooked previously or just never saw in the first place, that's where the real magic is for me.
Come on. Aaron, you're telling me that as a kid, your parents never... I know, Rich, you had to go... We all went through... You never had something your parents took away from you, like, you cannot watch this again. Like, there's a share of videotapes in our household that my parents were like, no, you cannot watch this for a week. We're taking this, we're hiding it. No, you've watched this enough.
Nope.
That never went on in your house?
No.
I mean, it wasn't like a regular occurrence. I'm just saying it happened at my house once or twice.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I can't think of one instance. Like, I might have been grounded from the television for...
Like, my mom had just heard it enough. She was like, no, this is banned for a week.
I think because, one, my family... I didn't watch TV in the living room. If I wanted to watch TV and I didn't have a TV in my room, I had to wait till everybody else went to bed or wasn't home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did not have a say-so in what was happening on TV. So there was no repeat watching shit with my parents around whatsoever. That just wasn't happening.
My parents did not let me have a TV in my room until I was an adult.
But I want to say, well, it depended. Well, one parent did, one parent didn't. I do know that, I had a couple cassette tapes. It's showing my age, but that, like, both my dad and mom were like, okay, enough.
Yeah.
Don't play that fucking album again. when I know the fucking album and I don't even like the artist, that's a problem, you know. So yeah, it was more of that.
Yeah, same principle. Like, we have heard enough. You will listen to something else. You will watch something else.
Oh, I get it. Believe me. Like, I'm being reminded of it.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't think that a 13-year-old computer being put in an 8-year-old's room would drive the 5-year-old to a 5-hour rage fit. But apparently it does. And apparently this is like, cannot be recorded through because the neighbors are going, is everything okay? So, yeah, I was like,
that kid is pissed.
All right. It just is what it is, man. It's different. Kids make the world different for better or for worse.
No, trust me, I look at my nephew. He's 16. He's got a fucking 40-inch in his fucking bedroom. Like, you motherfucker. Like, I did not have a TV in my room when I was an adult. I told my sister she was slacking.
I think I was 9. My mom we had a 13-inch black and white TV with the rabbit ears with tinfoil. And then she got like a 19-inch, maybe 22-inch or some shit like that, color TV for the living room. And so she's like, you can have the 13-inch black and white.
No, wait, I stand corrected. In high school, I did have a TV in my room, but it just had a Nintendo hooked up to it. That was it. I could not watch TV on this TV.
I was about to say, I didn't have a Nintendo hooked up to mine. I had an Atari 2600. That
yes, same.
That had a switch for color or black and white.
Ooh.
For your TV. So it was that. No.
That's one of those.
Ooh, no. That's. Oh, that shit's old.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's showing our age. Yeah, I know. I remember TVs that you could switch between black and white and color. Yeah.
Oh no. This TV was just black and white. No, the Atari 2600
you had the little adapter that you hooked up to
in the back of the TV.
Antenna, yeah. And that had the switch for black and white or color.
Yep.
Because the games were all in color, but if you put it on a black and white TV, not everything's going to show up.
Yep.
You got to kick it into grayscale. That's what I had to do. I had a 2600, probably around the same time you did, Rich, only mine was a total hand-me-down after the Nintendo had already come out. But, yeah, I had sounds like the same setup, 13-inch black and white television with the 2600 hooked up to it.
Yep.
And not very good games either. I played a lot of Snoopy and the Red Baron. Like, all right, I guess I'll just catch these root beers. I don't even know what this game's about.
It was my dad's, and when the parents, when the parental unit split, he just kind of left it behind because he was like, I'm packing what I need in my car, and that's all I'm taking from this relationship.
Yep.
So a television
like, 2600 ain't getting me any pussy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, here you go, boy. And I think it was like Combat Space Invaders, Yar's Revenge.
Oh, Yar's Revenge.
I had the Empire Strikes
game for that system, hands fucking down.
I had the Empire Strikes Back with the Invasion of Hoth, Defense of Hoth, where you got the never-ending waves of walkers, and you have to take them out. And I think the most I ever took out was 5 before they finally got to the base.
Yeah.
And I thought I was the shit. And then years later, I looked on YouTube and I see some fucking 6-month-old baby can't even speak, and they just took out their 100th walker, and I'm just like, click, fuck that fucking baby.
Did I
Thank
actually?
God for SIDS, huh, baby? Fuck you.
I heard an interview last year with the creator of Yar's Revenge. Just totally random. Like, I didn't seek it out or anything. And I'm like, oh my God, this is weird. This is like my favorite game as a kid. And he was talking about how much thought and planning he put into just the sound design and the look of that game and how unique it was. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. I'll have to dig up the interview, but
game
such a bizarre game.
That game was one of those games that by like 1985, 86, for sure 86, you could find it anywhere for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But it was a cool game. Like most of the games that you could find anywhere for like $1 or $2 were just straight booty. They were just bunch of old bullshit.
Yeah.
But that was actually one of that
E.T.
that I
and
liked.
MASH.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with E.T. I'm mad I even know what that looks like.
Dude, do you know that
We all know the sound effects.
That whole story about they took the remaining copies of that game, like tens of thousands of them, and put them in a landfill in the middle of the fucking desert.
Yeah, did you see the documentary about them digging them up?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, they didn't find like thousands, but they found enough to where they were like, well, the story seems to hold some water. But that just means that where they dug,
you gotta go like, yeah, this is legit. Somebody dropped their copy of E.T. out in the desert.
Yeah, I know, like, right in the petrified
there goes
forest.
my vacation. My summer vacation's ruined. I lost my copy of E.T. in the desert.
It's the early 80s. I'm wandering through the petrified forest with no electricity, no 2600, but my copy of E.T. and I drop it. Just say, fuck it.
Yeah, that game sucks anyway.
That game was like...
Drive out to the desert and chuck it at a tree.
That game was like Friday the 13th for the first Nintendo. It sucked shit. It could have been so cool.
What was the point of that game? What was the point of that Friday the 13th game?
Okay, first of all, they did a bait and switch because the cover and the back made it look like you were going to play Jason.
Yeah,
and you're hunting down the counselors, which is like, that's cool. No, you're the counselors.
Yeah,
and it's Crystal Lake is an oval lake, and you walk around it and in like an overhead like bird's eye view. And then all of a sudden, it'll go to a side-scrolling platforming view.
Yeah, all of a sudden you run into Jason.
There's zombies and werewolves and vampires, shit that's never been in any of the Friday the 13th movies. Then you would go, if you survive that, you go into a cabin. And every time you turned, you would turn to be an over-the-shoulder perspective of the room. And then it would make a loud noise, and there's Jason, and he'd have his hatchet, and like one hit, and you're dead. Then you just move on to the next counselor until all the counselors were dead. I never once beat that game. The only weapon I had when I would get to Jason with one of the counselors, the only weapons I had left were rocks. How's that worked out?
Just throw them at him. Hope for the best.
There had to have been like at least one 2600 game that was based off of a movie property that sold really well to make them think that was a thing. Because anything that I can think of that was based off of TVs or movies sucked ass. Superman, Friday the 13th.
I want to say I remember with the Atari 2600, maybe no, couldn't have been. It'd have been 85. That'd have been Nintendo, the Goonies game.
Yeah.
Shit. That Star Wars game wasn't that bad. The problem is that looking back, it's like, that's it. The attack on Hoth, and it's just unending wave after unending wave of walkers coming at you. I mean, but you know, at the time, that's basically
probably
Space
the best
Invaders.
example, though.
You know, Space Invaders was just wave after wave after wave after wave after wave. You could play it to where it would just like freeze up on you, though. My dad did it twice. He was playing, and he was like stupid high level on a 2600. And then it just locked up. And I was like, is the game broke? And he's like, I don't know. So he tried everything, then he restarted it. And then a few years later, he did it again. It was just one of those, he was sitting down, got in the zone, and just was killing everything in his way. So it's like...
So there is no end to the game. It just freezes eventually. Just runs out of memory.
Yeah. It's like, that's what games did back then, I guess. I mean, the first game I remember with a ending, not just some tacked on bullshit like the ending to Super Mario Brothers, which is just the same ending as our princess is in another castle, except for they change the dialogue and move a few pixels around. First ending I remember for a video game was Metroid.
Yeah.
You know, when you finish that, she went into the last room, and Samus took off her armor, and you were like, oh, it's a chick. I didn't know this. Surprise, been a chick this whole time. And you didn't know it. And talk about so pissed at that scene in Jarhead, and we're like, what would you be doing if you weren't a Marine, sitting at home jerking off, trying to get to that last level in Metroid? You know what happens when you get to the last level? What? Nothing. It just starts over. That's bullshit. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, of all the games they could have picked, why did they go with Metroid?
Yeah, come on, man. Like now, Contra, I think just starts back over and
Yes.
like at a harder level. So could have went Contra, but yeah, no, I had to fuck with Metroid, try to get slick, and us nerds spotted that shit. So if you ever really want to get an appreciation for how much to not hang out with certain people, watch a military movie with a combat vet.
Oh, jeez.
Every 30 seconds, it's being paused. That's some old bullshit.
Well, I imagine it's like watching a movie about that has anything to do with music with one of us, or with
You're watching everyone's hands. You're like, that guy's not playing that keyboard.
Yeah. or two. I've noticed this with my wife, or with anything where a music studio or a radio station comes up.
I'm plugged in.
Well, no, I just know it's like I'll just pause and be like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. The mic's, that's not how you'd place the mic to do that. Like, yeah, I get it. We can all be insufferable assholes when it comes to certain things.
Well, I try to also, if I'm sitting with a bunch of fucking civilians who don't play music, or musicians who have seen the movie, it's like, there's no need to point out for the 15th millionth time that...
Oh, but but I'm married. It's whatever. I'm talking and you're listening because I have to do it for you.
I'm glad you got some quid pro quo in your marriage.
Yeah,
there.
Trust me, and we joke about it too. There'll be times when I'm like, is that good? Did I sound interested? And she'll be like, oh yeah, that was good. All right, okay, cool. She'll do it with me. Did I sound interested? Yeah, I could, that sounded like you were generally interested in when I was talking. Thank you.
Were you paying attention? No, but honey, I was pretending to, so I think we can both agree that means I love you.
That has also been said by both of us.
Yeah, what matters is the effort.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to, and that's what counts, right? The effort. All right. So week 6 done.
And it looks like you got us on daily at least until what, the 15th? That's what she's predicted to say. She's extending it to Miss Governor Whitmer, excuse me.
As long as I can't go to work, I'm doing this with or without you guys. But I just want to play around with golf. That's all I want. I told my wife, like, nothing personal. I'm going to be gone like an entire day once I can be. Because we've even enacted. All right, it's, when I'm at work, I get the living room, she gets the bedroom. And that's how it works. We come back together at the end of the day, and everybody's happy. So, yeah. Hope it's all working out for you guys. Hearing our voice, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Whatever. But we've been doing this daily, and it's been working out. We got new listeners. We got old listeners. But we got listeners, and that's the point. We are on Twitter at UnregimentedPod. You can follow us also on Instagram at Unregimented. Email us unregimented@ChristopherMedia.net, which is where there is an Amazon banner. There is a PayPal button. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, ChristopherMedia.net, Spreaker.com, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, a bunch of shit I'm forgetting because it's been a long week. So we'll just end it here, and we'll say that we'll catch you Monday. Have a good weekend.
See ya.
Later, guys.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Shop new looks for the new year at Macy's one-day sale. Going on now with deals of the day like sweaters from Clubroom, Alfani, Inc., and more. $19.99 to $29.99. And get 40 to 60% off coats and boots. Then add the finishing touch to any look with fine jewelry clearance 70% off. Plus, get your .com orders fast with contact-free curbside pickup. Or you can pick them up inside the store. For details, visit Macy's.com. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.